Want to know what a real man would tell their lady about love and life? You're in the right place. This is Hello Ladies with Rom Wills. Rom Wills is a speaker and author of several books on relationships. Grab some wine, sit back, and enjoy.
Hello, ladies. Welcome to my spot. When your imprint is in flux. Now, this ain't for most women. This is for a woman whose sex count is 0 to 3. 0 to 3. Like she been penetrated by 0 to 3 men. And really, I should say 0 to 4. 0 to 2, really, and I'll get into why. Now, people who really follow my stuff a long time know I've talked about the womb imprint. And, for those who hadn't heard that term, look up the term love map. Look up the term love map. And this is the womb imprint, for those who not familiar with it at all, is basically the first 2 or 3 men that a woman sleeps with who penetrates her physically. They create an imprint within her. What the woman does subconsciously is mix their personality traits together, and physical and personality traits, and then basically she subconsciously becomes ideal for that type of man. She's going to have the most natural attraction for that type of man. Even if she met a man who don't resemble the imprint, and he could be a great guy, he can be a great guy for her, and she can even have some attraction, or even a lot of attraction. But that guy who resembles the imprint, that's going to be the guy that gets her wet. That's going to be the guy who gets her wet. That's going to have a real, he's going to get her on another level, even if he ain't right for her, right? So that's why in many cultures, they controlled who the woman's young girl's first partners were. They were very controlling about that. Like I was told in like Zulu culture, they would have the warriors imprint the woman, like the strongest warriors. And even in some places in Africa, they still have that. Like certain men, their job is to deflower the woman, And I remember, and I was told of one culture where only the top 12% of men could like deflower a woman. They ain't necessarily married, but it set the tone because then the other men had to resemble that imprint. Now, when your imprint's in flux, your imprint really starts with the first man. And then that's really when it really is in flux. I say it's 0 to 3, then I say 0 to 2, but really, if it's 0, there's no imprint. There's no imprint. In general, if I want to get really technical, the imprint, women tend to look for, people tend to look for whatever opposite sex parent or parent type of figure they had. So a man, he'll look for someone like his mother, at least as for personalities, sometimes even as far as a physical appearance. And the woman will do the same thing. So, but then when you actually have sex, that changes it. Like the father, like the first man might not resemble the father at all, And women for the imprint tend to look for the alpha males in their environment, Partly the father, partly somebody who resembles a father, but whatever guy boys are in the environment that she, are seen as alphas. They the ones seen as alphas or select, whatever that is and whatever the environment. That's why in some, like in a poor neighborhood, it could be the thug. In an upper class bougie neighborhood, it could be like the prep star, Now your imprint is in flux. Okay, so you had sex with that first guy. That's what it is in flux. Now a lot of women subconsciously, or sometimes even consciously, after they had that first guy, if he's a real bad guy or something like that, they'll look for something else or somebody totally opposite. That's why it's in flux. They want somebody totally opposite. But then some women will get that guy who's exactly like that first one. If the sex was decent, at least to her, and at that point she don't have anything to compare it to. She'll get a guy similar. But that's an important thing, particularly in situations where the guy was bad. Like she look at it, it's like, you know what? Her first time was in a relationship with this guy, and he was just bad for her. He was just bad. Yeah, the sex might have been okay, but he was just bad for her. He might have mistreated her, abused her, or something like that. Then when it comes to the second guy, that's when she really needs to find somebody who has positive traits. She needs to find somebody who has positive, because it's in flux at that moment. It's in flux. Because it's like it could go either way. Because if she gets, like, say her first 3 guys are bad guys, she pretty much stuck for life in that pattern. It takes a whole lot to break it, and despite what some people think, because they don't really know about it anymore, it takes a lot to break that imprint. Basically, in order to break the imprint, a man who comes in will have to resemble the imprint first just to get her attention, and then take her in a different direction from what the imprint established. That's why it's hard. If you don't resemble the imprint at hard, he can do whatever. It probably still won't override it. It's that deep. So anyway, the imprint is in flux. It's very important, like when women, and this is particularly for the younger women with maybe just one guy, or maybe just happen to be virgins and stuff. Those first 3 are very important because it sets the tone for life. Understand what I mean when I say life. Life. Because that subconscious thing, when a woman's attracted to a man, it's hard to override it. That's why some women can't figure it out. And I'll be like, well, what did the first few guys have? Because, when I first learned about the womb imprint around 2007, I had a few female coaching clients then. Even though I wasn't as big on the relationship thing or really pushing my stuff, I was still doing coaching and counseling and all of that. And I would ask them, that's the main thing I would ask them. It was like, they having trouble, they older. I was like, well, tell me about the first 3 guys. And they would tell me, and I was like, okay. Tell me about the guys after that. Because I would look at they would tell me the first 3 guys, and I would put together a personality profile for them. And I was like, oh, the guys you deal with are this and that, right? And they were like, damn, how'd you know? You set the pattern. You set the pattern. So that's very important. That's very important. Like, especially for the women, they might have 1 or 2. Like, say if they had 2 bad guys, mistreated them, they're going to have a tendency to go for a 3rd bad guy. But that's when a woman, she probably need to find some real nice guy, like a genuine nice guy, and throw that in there. Seriously, they need to throw it. That's why I say in many cultures, they controlled the first sexual experience of the kids, because they knew the long-term pattern for this, and like I said, in another term might be love map. But that's why they were very important. Make sure the first person they got with could really teach them some stuff. I don't want to say that because honestly, many women, especially women who consistently get in bad relationships, need to look at that. They need to look at that. They need to go back and examine who the first 3 guys. And that's even in a peaceful situation. Unfortunately, with the imprint, if it could have been incest, it could have been rape. When it's either one, that really screws things up. Because I knew one woman, her imprint was a gang rape. And I do mean gang, not running a train, a gang rape. And unfortunately, in some communities, especially some poor communities, there's a whole lot of young girls who get in trouble because you get the guys in the neighborhood decide they want to run a train on them. That's some serious stuff. But it messed the woman up as an adult. It messed her up badly because it was hard for her to really get involved with a man. She could still have sex. She was still open, a little too open, but it's hard for her to really bond. So, and plus, because it's the imprint is both psychological and physical. So when your imprint's in flux, you just maybe had that one guy. Make a concerted effort, every effort, or 1 or 2 guys. Make sure that 3rd guy is like just the total opposite. And even though I don't say it as much, it really just, you can sometimes, those two is all is needed. And so, like, you could still be in trouble if those first two were bad. But if you just had that one guy, focus on the next guy being, a very good man. So anyway, that's all I got for you ladies. I'll talk to y'all later. Peace and blessings.